a couple years ago, Snapchat came out with Snapchat Plus, which you get extra perks for whatever, like stupid stuff, obviously so stupid. And I have been paying for that for like years and I'm still paying for it. It's like $2 a month, which isn't like that much, but it's still like money every month that I don't need it. And I still haven't canceled it. So this is reminding me that I need to like go into my subscriptions and double check.
Yeah, they're fucking evil that way, right? They're like, if I take $2 from every kid who like is using Instagram Plus, man, like it's not going to be that painful to the specific kid because it's such a small amount. But man, if they do that over the entire population of users, that's a huge windfall. And so like it's by design that it's a really small amount that you'll just sort of forget about. And the headache of going through and spending the 30 minutes to try to figure out how to even cancel that is like not worth it. So it's evil. All right, welcome back to Money Misfits. I am Professor Heath, your host, and I am here with two special guests, one current student and one quasi former student, current student. I'm going to let them introduce themselves in a second, but today's episode is all about your first credit card and the stuff that comes up as it surrounds your first credit card. So anyway, I'm super excited, super fired up. The two guests that I have today are like some of my favorite students on campus. So anyway, why don't I let you guys introduce yourselves and sort of share your stories if you're good with that.
My name is Hannah. I am currently a first year at CSM. I am a business administration / econ major, and I am on the track to transfer fall of 2026. So I'm doing this all in 1 year. I'm currently in the honors project at CSM, and Professor Heath is my foundation course instructor. So I'm doing my research this semester on financial accounting. So very fun. Yeah, I'm super excited to be on this podcast today.
And for those of you no, sorry, Zion. I was just gonna say that I refer to Hannah as being fucking slightly crazy because she's
Yeah.
clearly her plan is to transfer out of CSM in 1 year. Like technically, this is your very first semester, and you're
Yeah, this
already
is my first.
applying to fucking transfer out. That's just literally insane to me.
I just can't stay still, so I have to get out, Have to
So
be on
I
the
was
move.
shocked that you can get through 60 fucking units in one semester. Sorry, one full academic year.
Year.
But it
Yeah.
turns out that you were taking a bunch of AP classes and then like dual enrollment classes. So it's
Yeah, and summer term,
summer
yeah,
term. But so
so
you're still crazy to me, but it sounds like a doable plan for somebody who doesn't like to sit still. So
exactly, if there's a will, there's a
yeah.
way.
Zion, how about you? What's your story?
My name is Zien Sansbury. I started off as a business administration major, but I switched to economics and accounting. This is my second year at CSM. I'm looking to transfer fall of 2026. If it happens to be like a year later, it's fine with me. But I'm trying to get those credits in. Um, right now, I'm looking into transferring to like one of the state schools for economics, and I guess that's about all I have for that. But yeah, I switched, and also I will say I did switch to accounting and economics because of Professor Heath. He doesn't know that, but yeah.
You're right. I didn't know that. I was telling Hannah before you showed up that like one of my favorite things to do in life now is like going to Trader Joe's and giving you giving you a hard
Yeah,
giving you a hard time at
yeah.
work. That's like my
I don't think I've ever expected like. I don't think I've ever like seen him come in. He just shows up in front of my face.
That's hilarious.
So anyway, so yeah, Zion, like, do you mind us sharing why did you so changing your major? Like it's not like you changed from nursing to accounting, but like
Yeah.
why did you change to econ and account? Is it really because of the experience you're having in our class?
It was that speech you gave at the start of the class that was like pretty persuasive for me. Basically, like saying like I'm wasting my time doing business administration, and I like I don't know like how like much you meant that. You probably did, but what is it? I kind of like found myself like, yeah, like I'm kind of just doing this because it's easy. So I decided to switch to something that's more practical. I don't think that's the right word, but like more useful in the real
Yeah,
world.
so it's more like I would use the word practical totally. To me, so you're gonna laugh because Hannah's actually a business administration major.
Yeah.
And so like if I were to go
Yeah,
back to the very first day of class, I would say that as long as you go to a really good undergrad program, it's okay to be a business major.
yeah,
But like if you're not going to a great school, you know, it's hard to it's hard to stand out in a crowd.
yeah,
And so if you have a skill that you could use to market yourself like straight off the bat, then like it's just so much better. So like all the things that are open to you as a business major are going to still be open to you as an accounting major. But in
yeah,
addition to all of that, you're also going to have the opportunity to like work for an accounting firm or in the accounting department. It's what I did. So like if I go back to that first lecture, I never tell anybody that they should be an accountant for the rest of their life. I just say, listen,
yeah,
it's a great first step. And then from there, you can sort of pivot into something that is more interesting to you because it's what I did. So, anyway, like, I
mhm,
appreciate you sharing that. Um,
yeah. No, like I just wanted to say like one more thing, like personally, like it wasn't like just like shitting on like business administration, but like it was mainly because you were like, oh yeah, you're just wasting your time because doing the easy stuff. Because like for me personally, um, like my first year here at CSM, like I was just like I was basically just copying the same plan that the loser that sits next to me in class. Um, I was just copying his whole plan, and like I didn't really care. And then like this year, I started to like actually like realize like okay, like I need to like start like putting my best foot forward and like going on my own plan
yeah,
and just like actually like trying. But yeah,
I love that. I love that because that's another. I know we're not talking about credit cards at the moment, but like that's another thing that I preach all the time, which is like it's easy to go to school with community college students and convince yourself that like C's get degrees and like you could just sort of like go meander through the process because it's not like a real education. It's just like education in diapers or something. And so like I totally disagree that that's the case and that like your time here at CSM is really important and it's an opportunity for you to like sort of reset the schedule and you got to learn how to be great at whatever you're doing and one of the things is like doing well in class but then also developing a plan because we're not rich, right? And so like we're going to
yeah,
school to get a job and so you can't just meander through the process and expect to be handed a great job at the end. So like I totally commend the the I even like the way that you explained it. Just copying some loser who sits next to you. Yeah, that's not the best plan.
yeah,
So yeah, sweet. I totally appreciate you sharing both of you sharing your stories. Okay, so the reason that you're both here and specific to this episode is because I've gathered through conversations that both of you are authorized users on your parents' credit cards. And so neither of you have a credit card yet of your own that's like in your own name. And so I sort of wanted to do two things. One, I wanted to just get what was your experience like using your parents' credit card and what have you learned from that? And then like what are your expectations about having your own credit card as you move forward? So anyway, that's the overview. So I think it would be cool to just start with like what if how does using or being an authorized user on your parents' account, like why are you doing that and like what's the experience been like? Hannah, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So, honestly, being an authorized user on my parents' account, I just spend the money. Like, I don't ever think about it. I don't ever think about, "Oh, like, I am actually gonna have to use money to buy this," or, this isn't just, imaginary money, it's real. Um, but recently, because I just turned 18, I have been asking my parents about credit cards more because I do want to open a credit card, under my own name and start further building my personal credit. Um, and I have learned that it's not just imaginary money, and you do actually need to pay the bank every month. Like, so yeah, that's what I've gathered so far. Credit cards are kind of like a loan. The bank is paying the merchant for you, and then every month you have to pay the bank back, and if you pay on time, then it's basically like a free loan, but if you don't pay on time, then you pay interest, and that's when you kinda get screwed, so yeah.
Nice. What do you
Yeah.
typically buy with your parents' credit card?
A lot of food. I buy food a lot, sometimes, like, shopping, clothes. Whenever we go on vacation, my parents use it to buy, like, airplane tickets and pay for hotels, and specifically, like, my mom and my dad, they're really into, uh, using different credit cards to earn different points, so, like, a United credit card to earn United Airlines points and a Marriott credit card to earn Marriott rewards and everything, so being very diligent and specific with, which credit card to use at which time to gain rewards for
Nice. Have
different,
they ever been
yeah,
like,
things.
"Hannah, what the fuck are you doing? Like, how much did you like, this is
Yeah,
crazy." Have you had those
they
conversations?
I have, yeah, not recently, but a few years ago, I, just thought it was imaginary money. I didn't ever see the effects of, like, the money being pulled from my personal bank account, so I never really it didn't really hit me that it's, I'm spending so much money, but yeah, my parents did get upset at me when they would just see so many charges on their card, so yeah, they have had to limit me,
Nice. Very good.
definitely, yeah.
Zion, how about you? What's your experience been like?
Yeah, no, I was basically gonna say the same thing. Like it's just like free money, basically. But no, I'm just um, what is it? Uh, so like when I turned 18, my mom just kind of like handed me a credit card, and like I already understood like the principles of a credit card. Like I didn't actually really use it until maybe like a year ago. Um, but like from my experience, I try to use like my debit card like as much as I can, or just yeah, my debit card. But I only use a credit card on like kind of bigger expenses that like it feels like would raise my credit score because I know my credit score is connected to it. And my mom used like the same account to like build my credit for so
Yep.
long, and then like when I started making like bigger purchases, I'm like, okay, like maybe I should use a credit card for this. Um, to um like like I said, build my credit.
Do you use your credit card or do you use your mom's credit card? And then when you do buy something with a higher cost, do you pay your mom back or does your mom like
Oh yeah, no, I pay my mom back. I just like I basically it's basically as if like I have the credit card, but like my mom is the bank basically. Like she makes me pay back within 30 days.
nice.
Um
So your mom's not even really using the credit card at all. She's just opened up an account in her name,
yeah,
created you as
yeah.
an authorized user. And is she doing that just to establish credit for you?
Yeah, basically. So she yeah. I've been doing that, but like recently cuz I've been using the credit card a lot more. Um and like she's always like in the app like looking for purchases she doesn't recognize and like telling me, "Oh yeah, you owe me that." She's just been like I think she's getting annoyed, so she wants me to open my own credit card now. But
And do you know your credit score? So I know Hannah knows her credit score. Hannah knows everything. So it doesn't
Yeah.
surprise you that she doesn't know her credit score. But do you know your credit score?
Last time I checked, I think when I bought my car, it was like 780. Um, but I don't know what it is right
Nice.
now. Right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so both of you, well, definitely Zion has like said some things that I wanted to just sort of clear up before we move on to the next step. So like what I would argue that just using your credit card to buy expensive things isn't going to like by itself increase your credit score. You're
Yeah.
typically like in order for us to maximize our credit score by using our credit card, we want to like first make sure that we stick to what we call like this utilization rate. And your utilization rate is like if I have a max, like if I could spend up to $1,000, like if that's my credit card limit, the utilization rate is how much are you actually using. So if your max amount is 1,000, you can use up to usually the percentage is about 30% is where the cutoff is. If you start spending more than 300 or 30% in this example, it starts to do a little bit of damage to your credit. So the utilization is the first thing that we want to kind of keep track of. It's not so much like the dollar value of each purchase, it's the percentage of the card that you're using. And so like that's step 1. Step 2 is the age of the card, right? So the longer that we use one particular card, the better, all else equal, the better our score is. So I would encourage both of you to continue to just stay on your parents' authorized card because like the length of history is something that's going to benefit you, right? So if your parents were
Yeah.
like had shitty credit and they were like dragging you down, then I would say it probably makes sense to like close those accounts or pull off of the authorized user. But it sounds like both of you are in good hands and keeping those accounts are only going to help you because of the age. Then the card type. So generally like in-store cards like Nordstrom's, I don't know if Trader Joe's has a card, I doubt they do, but like the Macy's and the Nordstrom cards, those aren't going to give you as much value in terms of like your credit card as like a MasterCard or a Visa. And then
Yeah.
the last one, this is going to be obvious, but I might as well just talk about it. But like if you are using a credit card irresponsibly, like you're missing payments and like you've exceeded, some realistic amount, your credit card company is going to close the account. And so like a closed account obviously is going to totally work against you, but a closed account means that you're no longer authorized to actually use it because the credit card company cut you off. So anyway, those are the things that we want to keep track of. Like, so Zion, it's okay if you buy, I don't know, like lunch at CSM and put it on your credit card, as long as you just
Yeah.
like keep the utilization rate below 30% and ideally somewhere around 10%, like it's totally fine. Totally fine. It's obviously harder to keep track of, but it's okay. So
Yeah.
I have a question actually. So, in the situation that someone misses payments and spends over their limit and gets their account closed and their credit score completely tanks, is there any way that they can, like, recover from that and build a high credit score, or are they just kinda, like, screwed for life?
they're not screwed for life. So there are ways. So like you can beg and plead with the credit card company and ask for some concessions. You like so after 7 years, usually I think the general rule is that like your credit history stays on your report for about 7 years. So if you're 20 and you get into a ton of um or if you have accounts that are closed or you have terrible credit because of some situation, that's going to remain on your credit score until you hit 27. And after 7 years, usually older accounts will like roll off. And so one proactive thing that you can do, like obviously not in the moment, but the closer that you get to that 7-year period, you want to make sure that those items are being removed from your credit score. And that goes beyond, I think, what I was wanting to talk about today. But there's 3 credit reporting agencies, and so you would just independently reach out to those companies that provide the credit reports and say, "Hey, listen, there are things on my report that are older than 7 years, and I'd like them removed." So, yeah. Okay, so, like, what how do you guys see, like, switching gears, I wanna kinda go into, like, how do you see moving into your own credit card? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, is it gonna happen soon? Do you know what type of credit card you want? Like, what are you worried about? Like, what is that gonna look like to you guys?
Um, for me, like it's probably gonna happen like really soon, just because like my mom is like on my ass about it. Um, but I don't think I really have like any worries because um, I think I have a pretty good idea of like how to use a credit card. Like I've never missed a payment, as in not paid my mom back in time. But the only thing like I wasn't sure about is like the utilization rate that you talked about. Because I know if I open my own credit card, it's gonna be way lower. And so that I guess that's the only thing I'd worry about. And then when you said what type of credit card I want to open up, like if I know which type of credit card I want to open up, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know like the different type of credit cards. So
That's alright. That's the whole reason we're having this conversation. Um, and to me, the so, like, there are before you get into, like, the specific types, right? So, a lot of first-time users, I don't think it's gonna apply to you 2 because you've been authorized users, but, like, generally, it's like there's just a group of regular credit cards that anybody applies to. But then if you're like a first time user with no established credit history and you're a student, you can try to apply for like a student card, right? So it's like a credit card with training wheels. And then you can also apply for what they call like a secured credit card, which means a credit card company takes, $500 from you. They say, okay, like give us 500 bucks. We're going to put that in an account and we're going to keep it. And then we will give you a credit card and the max amount is 500 bucks. And so it's, if anything were to happen, they have the 500 sitting in their pocket. And so if you use your credit card irresponsibly, you're missing payments, they have the ability to pull out of the 500 cash that you sent them at the beginning. And so usually if you use one of those cards for about 6 months, you can then establish some credit using a secured card or a student card. Then you can transition into like your full blown adult normal cards. And my sense is that like there are so many different types of cards available that it makes it difficult to sort of address that issue in this episode. But for me personally, like I usually just watch out for like, what are the annual fees, right? So a lot of credit cards, they come with tons of benefits. And some of the credit cards, because of all of the great benefits, do charge like an annual fee. So that might be something, Zion, that I'd be watching out for. It's like, yeah, I don't want to be paying 100 bucks every year,
yeah,
right? So, like, you may want to look at the annual fee and then look at the type of rewards that you're getting from the credit card. So, if you use your credit card responsibly, you're going to be able to generate points, and with those points, you can like take a flight to somewhere, or you can stay the night
yeah,
in a hotel. So, like, there's definitely cards, and there are cards that are probably more specific to what you're interested in. So, yeah. And then I
yeah,
do have something that I wanna say about the utilization rate again, listening to you talk about it, but I'm gonna maybe let Hannah talk about, because I know guaranteed she has credit card that she knows that she's gonna apply for. If I know anything about Hannah.
Um, So, actually, like, when you were explaining the different types of credit cards, the, secured one seemed very, like, practical to me just because I don't think it's smart to, like, jump into it without, like, any sort of anything to protect you or, like, catch you, so the secured one seemed very, like, safe and everything, but, um, I feel like I would kind of just mirror what my parents do and, like, open a credit card, whatever, company that they have or just gonna do it whatever they do just because I know that they know they're very knowledgeable about all this stuff, but yeah. I don't know so much about opening credit cards, so I'm, like, trying to think, I don't know. The only thing I'd be scared of is, like I'm very OCD, so I don't or I hope I wouldn't miss a payment, but in the situation that, a lot is going on, like, I would be that my biggest fear is, like, missing a payment and, like, having to face that, scary interest rate and, all
Yeah.
that stuff, so, yeah.
So the secured card, that sounds like a nice safety net, but that's not going to
Mhm,
protect you from using your card incorrectly. It's going to protect
mhm.
the credit card company from the worst case scenario, which is
Oh,
like,
I
yeah,
see.
I just don't feel like fucking paying you, so like I'm going to charge $500 and be on my merry way. In the worst case scenario, the credit card company's like, yeah, fuck it, okay, well, we're going to ruin your credit and we're going to take your
Mhm,
$500. So the secured card, you do need to use that consistently with like your real cards. You need to,
mhm,
keep the utilization rate down. When the bill comes in, you have to pay the bill. Obviously, the credit card company says that you don't have to pay the bill in full. You could just make some minimum amount and then like carry over the balance. And that's where shit gets scary, right? So that's
yeah,
when you get subject
yeah,
to interest and so forth. But like the general good habits, again, are let's just try to keep the utilization rate somewhere below 30%. And let's just
mhm,
make our payments on time. Like as long as you do those two things, you're going to be really good. So here's one of the things that I wanted to like bring up about the utilization rate and worrying about making payments. So what you could do, so you get your credit card, you start using it, the bill comes in. There's going to be like two different dates on your bill that you want to pay attention to. Okay? So there's the statement date or the closing date and then the due date. Okay? So what you want to do when you start using your credit card is you want to look for your card's closing date. Okay. So the closing date is the date that they take a snapshot of how much you used your card. So let's just say that your max limit is 1,000 and then you like charged $300 on your card throughout the month. On the closing date, that snapshot is the $300. Then the bill comes in and they say, hey, you have to make a payment and you have to make a payment by some due date. Okay. So obviously, we want to pay the amount off in full by the due date, but I want to just go back to the closing date. So the closing date is what's used to create the utilization rate, right? So what you want to do is probably set up like an automatic payment system so that around just prior to the closing date, so let's just say that the closing date is the 28th of every month, somewhere around the 24th or 25th, what I would do is just establish some automate automatic payment that would reduce your utilization rate down to like 10%. So 10%, let's back up. 30%, anything over 30%, it's going to really start working against you. But something closer to 10% is actually going to increase your credit score. So you want to make sure that at the closing date, your utilization rate is somewhere around 10%, but never over 30. And then you do maybe a second automated payment, which is you just pay the full amount off by the due date or just prior to the due date. And I know that sounds a little bit complicated, but the first thing we want to do is just make sure that we pay the entire amount in full at the end of every month so that we never pay interest. And the best way to avoid not doing that is by setting up automatic payment so that like your bank just makes that payment on your behalf in case you accidentally forget it. But then if you really wanted to be sophisticated, then you would start making payments before the closing date to really manipulate your credit score. And that's like honestly, that's probably the gist of it, right? So it's not free money. I heard both of you say that, credit cards. I was guilty of it when I got my first credit card when I was around your age. It was like, man, this is really fucking easy to go out to dinner and not really pay attention to how much you're spending. And it just feels good to be like, have that flexibility and have the ability to go do whatever you want. But fuck, man, like at some point the bill comes in and it's not free money. Like everything that you buy with your credit card has to be paid back.
I had a question about the
Yeah.
utilization rate. Um, so like from my understanding, like you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like a credit score is basically just like the trust you have with like banks and stuff like that, right? So like why is like it's such like a big deal for it to only be 30%? Like say if I were to um consistently like let's say I don't know 6 months I'm at 60% utilization,
Yeah.
but I'm always paying it off.
Yeah.
Like why is that still a bad thing?
Because so like banks and lenders, they only want to lend to you if you don't actually need money, right? That seems kind of
Yeah.
weird. So it's like the more risk that they take on, the more likely it is they're not going to get paid. And so if they're saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
listen, we looked at your earning capacity, your income, and how much other credit you have, and we've come to the conclusion that we will let you use your credit card up to a maximum amount, but that maximum amount is like, man, we are not fucking going over that limit." Okay, so if they set the maximum amount to 1,000, they're like, okay, this kid's got the ability to use it up to 1,000, but man, like the closer he gets to that, and then if he like consistently only makes the minimum payment, right? You're pushing your borrowing capacity to the limit, and that's demonstrating some inability to pay. And
Yeah.
so the more that you demonstrate an inability to pay, the lower your credit score gets because like that's the whole point is that we want to show or we want to establish like a strong ability to pay. And so the
Yeah.
30%, I'm sure there's statisticians in the industry that know the answer to that. I honestly don't, but I do know that like if you're only borrowing up to 30% of what you're allowed to, that's showing that you're being responsible and there's plenty of room for you to be able to continuously make your payments on time. You're not overextending yourself and so forth. And then obviously, again, the more that it's closer to 10% as opposed to 30, the better. But I think it has something to do with your ability to pay back and the risk that the credit card company is taking. The more risk the credit card company is taking, the more likely it is that's going to have a negative impact on your credit score.
But like even if it was like even if I was like paying it back in full, like not even just like minimum payments, like is that still a bad thing?
So
You
so
say?
it depends how you look at it. Everything's relative, I guess. So if you
Okay.
wanted so I think the short answer, Zion, is no, it's not a bad thing, right? So what I think is the worst case scenario is borrowing and then not paying it back in full at the end of the month. That is a bad thing if you can't do that. So that you have to automatically avoid at all cost. But then like there's just like, like you can turn your fucking homework in and you could do half-ass work and I'll give you a half-ass grade. Okay? Or you could turn your homework in and you can exceed my expectations. You can do better than everybody else and I'll give you an A. right? And so like your credit score is kind of the same thing. You can max out your card and pay it off at the end of the month, and that's like C's get degrees. But if you want to maximize your credit score, right, then you will do things that you'll play the game the way that we're talking about now. And it makes
Okay.
sense too because like if you have a high credit score, like lenders are going to like, let's say you go buy a car and you have a tremendously high credit score. The higher your credit score, the more favorable your loan terms are at the dealership, right? So you could borrow a car, and if you have terrible credit, maybe they're going to try to charge you, 9% interest. However, if you have stellar credit, maybe they'll only charge you, 6% interest or 5.5% interest. So your car payment is going to be much lower if you have really good credit. So again, technically, is it bad to like max out your stuff? I don't know. That's kind of hard to answer. But if you want to be the best at, adulting, then you're going to want to keep shit close to 10%. And what's the difference, right? Like as long as you pay it off in full by the end of the month, you might as well do it the right way to like maximize your return. That's a good
Yeah.
question. I like that question. Okay. Should we keep going?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So let's say that I don't know, Zion, I heard you have a car. Do you drive? Yeah, Hannah, you drive too. I think
Yeah, I drive. Yeah.
let's say that you move out, you're going to your 4-year university, you're driving your car breaks down. Your parents are like, yeah, fuck it, you're on your own. Okay. The car, the car, the cost to fix your car is like $900. Okay. You have like a $700 emergency fund. Like you've been saving responsibly over the years. You've established this emergency fund. Do you fix your car? Like, do you spend the 900? Do you put that on your credit card? Do you use your emergency fund? Like, how would you pay to have your car fixed? Like, because it's a huge one time, unexpected thing. And so, like, do you want to use your credit card and then maybe make your credit card payments over 5 or 6 months? Or do you want to like dip into that emergency fund?
Per,
Um,
or do you
okay.
want to go first?
Oh, I was just gonna say that I if the emergency fund is completely separate, I feel like I would definitely dip into that. I don't know if I would completely use the entirety of the 700 um dollars, but I think I would definitely use half of that at least and then put the other half on my credit card so it's not as much that I would have to pay off. I don't know if is that like smart or not. I don't know, but I feel like maybe that's what I would do.
Zion, what would you do?
I was gonna say like personally, I don't know if there's a right answer or not to this, but personally, I would put it on the credit card because like for my savings, like um, I I'm not. It's just like a mental thing for me. Like I hate dipping into it, and so like if I have the ability to just put it on a credit card to pay it off later, and just like keep my savings like where it is, and just not be able to add to it for a month or a month or two. Um, that's personally what I would prefer to do.
What's the point of your savings?
It's just like a mental thing. I can't
Yeah, no,
explain it.
I totally get it. I totally get it. Like there's like dealing with money is like it has
Mhm.
all of these emotional like things tied to it. And I'm just like you, Zion, where like I hate like if I have money sitting in my bank account, I hate seeing it go down. And so like
Yeah,
I will do things irrationally just to avoid seeing my cash balances go down. Okay,
that's pretty
so
much.
the textbook answer and what I'm going to tell you most people will tell you to do is that you pay the entire amount, you dip into your emergency fund, all 700 of that goes to your car payment. And then the $200 difference, realistically for the two of you, should come from your parents, not from the credit card, right? So again, what I would encourage you to do is to think of the credit card as literally just a different way of paying, but you're paying with your own money, right? So the more that you ease into, oh, you know what, I'm going to use my credit card for this one and then pay it off over time, like you're working yourself back, like you're working backwards, right? And so it gets easy to be like, hey, you know what, I'm going to put this one time car payment on my credit card, and then like, oh, you know what, I want to go on vacation, I'm just going to put this one vacation on the credit card. And that's how we sort of slip into this slippery slope, where then it's like, man, most of the money that I was putting in my savings account, I'm now unfortunately using that to pay interest on the credit card balance that I currently have. So the correct answer would definitely be, you want to dip into your emergency fund. Dude, that's why you fucking have it, right? Like, your emergency fund is for emergencies, and this is an emergency. And so like if you feel like, man, I would hate to like dip into my entire emergency fund, then maybe what I would encourage you to do is to establish a higher emergency fund. So maybe your emergency fund is like $2,000, so that when these unexpected one-time things come up, it's like you're not dipping into the entire thing. You're only dipping into maybe not a small percentage, but there's still some left over. And maybe mentally, that's just a better position to be in. You want to think of your credit cards, worst case scenario, it's just like kind of like a bridge, right? It's going to help you get to, you know, some better landing spot, but it should never be the primary spending. Now, obviously, obviously, all else equal, we want to use the emergency fund, we want to borrow money from our parents, but like some of us don't have that option. So it's hard to make ends meet these days. And so, unfortunately, some people, for reasons beyond this podcast, some people do actually, unfortunately, have to pay these things with their credit cards because there just really is no other way. All right. I like that. I like that. Um, this one's like kind of a holdover from a previous conversation I had, but let's talk about maybe your debit cards or your authorized payments or your authorized cards. Do you guys have any like recurring subscriptions that are hitting your debit cards or your credit cards?
Yeah. For my debit card, I like for any recurring payments, it's on my parents' card. So the authorized I'm an authorized user, so it goes onto my parents' credit card, which is like like Quizlet plus so Netflix, Hulu, like all that kind of stuff. Like they pay for that. I don't have any of that is on my personal debit card. And when you were talking earlier about like hating to see the number go down, like that is me. Like I literally hate seeing the number go down on my debit card. So like I always try to like if I can squeeze some money out of my parents, to, like help me pay for something, bill, So yeah.
Good times. How about you, Zion? Do you have any reoccurring subscriptions hitting your accounts?
Yeah, no, there's this one like Microsoft charge. I don't even play video games that much anymore, and it's like a $5 thing that I just keeps hitting my account every month that I just like I see it, I get mad, and then I just forget about it and then until next month. And then there's one just a couple like right before I got on, my mom told me like a Quizlet, like an annual Quizlet charge just hit her account that now I have to pay for. So like I'm not that good about like canceling like certain subscriptions. And yeah.
If there's one if there's one thing that you guys should do, it's definitely go through the debit card transactions. And, maybe it's not as big of an issue for you, Hannah, but your parents' credit cards. And like one of the fastest ways to like start hemorrhaging money is through these automatic and reoccurring subscription fees. Like they're fucking hitting my account all the time. Right. So I have a debit card that just expired, and so the bank mailed me a new one, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome," because now I'm going to identify all of these instances where, like, I have reoccurring fees that I don't even remember having, and sure enough, when I first started teaching, I created a Wix webpage that I haven't visited in, like, literally 5 or 6 years, and sure enough, I just got an email from Wix, and they were like, "Hey, we just tried to like charge your card, and it was declined because the expiration did like you need to update your account." And it's like, dude, I didn't even remember I had that, and it's such a small amount. Like I don't. It's just like, come on, man, I'm not going to trip over $25 in my accounts, but like for you, it's $5, and so and it becomes a pain in the ass, and they make it purposely difficult to cancel subscriptions on purpose. So like if there's anything that you want to do in addition to paying off your credit card bills in full and then keeping the utilization rate down as low as possible while still establishing some balance, so that you can establish credit, the next one would definitely be looking for these reoccurring subscriptions that you don't use, right? So like the Hulu might be and Netflix, those are things that you probably do use every month. So like I'm not telling you that you should stop watching TV, but like the Quizlet, come on, do you even really need that these days? Like ChatGPT probably do everything that Quizlet could have done in the past. So like those are the types of things that like over time they become, just part of our bank accounts and we're not paying attention to that stuff. So I think you want to be, in addition to using and paying your credit cards, you also want to establish like conscious spending habits as well.
Yeah, and for me, like, the Quizlet, I completely forgot that I had the subscription until literally on Saturday, my mom was like, "What is this, like, subscription?" And she texted me, like, a screenshot of it, and it was Quizlet, and it was the annual fee, and I'm like, "Oh, shit," like, I completely forgot that I had this, and I think that for me personally, it's so easy to forget about these subscriptions that I sign up for because of the fact that, like, I use my parents' card to fund it, so it's like I'm not seeing the charges in my own bank account, so it's like it's kinda like out of sight, out of mind kinda thing, and also, um a couple years ago, Snapchat came out with Snapchat Plus, which you get extra perks for whatever, like stupid stuff, obviously so stupid. And I have been paying for that for like years and I'm still paying for it. It's like $2 a month, which isn't like that much, but it's still like money every month that I don't need it. And I still haven't canceled it. So this is reminding me that I need to like go into my subscriptions and double check.
Yeah, they're fucking evil that way, right? They're like, if I take $2 from every kid who like is using Instagram Plus, man, like it's not going to be that painful to the specific kid because it's such a small amount. But man, if they do that over the entire population of users, that's a huge windfall. And so, like, it's by design that it's a really small amount that you'll just sort of forget about. And the headache of going through and spending the 30 minutes to try to figure out how to even cancel that is like not worth it. So it's just, it's evil. It's totally.
Yeah, and honestly, like, when I'm thinking, "Oh, shit, like, I should probably go and check what subscriptions I still have and double check if I still actually need those," I'm like, "It's gonna take so long to try to figure out how to go into the app or go to their website and try to figure out my login and then try to see how I can cancel my subscription." It seems so much work that it's, like, discouraging, and, like, that's really how they get you, and a lot of companies are just, like, trying to gouge, money out of their users, and
Yeah, it's
it's
brutal.
crazy.
And then when you're an authorized user on your parents' accounts, it gets even muddier, right? Your parents don't even really understand. Yeah, crazy. Okay, well, listen, we're getting towards the end of this, but I do have like student questions that I wanted to get to. And so I have 4, 5. First one is, how much should I save before getting a card? Right? So the emergency fund, like what should be the amount that I tell people they should save? Quick answer.
I honestly think that 1,500 to 2,000 is a really, like, good sweet spot. I think 2,000 is a lot. I think 1,500 is a good place to be if possible, just because, like, I think anything under 1,000 is just
Too little.
too little in this day and
Zion,
age, yeah.
what are you going with?
Honestly, like I'm not even sure. Like I save about 2,000 too as well. Like my savings is kind of like I just see my savings as the same thing as my emergency fund. So like I can't really like give like a good
Got
answer
it.
for this. But yeah,
So the general rule so it should always be like at least 1 month of your spending. So you should be comfortable. You should try to get a sense as to how much do you spend in a month. And that's obviously going to change dramatically when you guys go off to college. Well, you're in college, but when you go off to your 4-year university, especially if you move out. So what you want to do is the general rule is at least 1 month of what your actual spending is. So if you're spending 700 a month, then you would want to have 700 saved. The most financial experts will tell you that it should be somewhere between 3 and 6 months of your spending is what the right amount for your emergency fund should be. So if you're spending 700 a month, then 3 months of that would be that 2,000 range that you guys both mentioned. And then 6 months would obviously be, I don't know, I can't do the math in my head, but I'm thinking that's like somewhere around 3,500. 6 times 7 was that 35?
Yeah,
42.
35.
35. Sweet. Got it.
Wait, is it?
It's
Wait,
42.
oh, yeah, no, it's not.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, wait, I was like, "Wait, no,
I
it's
just got
not."
an email today from some random person who's watching my YouTube videos, and they were like, "Hey, thanks for making those. I also pretend or like write really shitty on the in my notes and abbreviate things to hide the fact that I can't spell anything." And it's like, man, of all the things that somebody could have said about watching my podcast, that was the one thing. And it's like, yep, definitely can't spell to save my life. And I also cannot do math in my head. Like it just those two things.
Yeah, but at least you're relatable. I mean, it's a common struggle, so
Okay, so next one. So the answer is it's not really a dollar amount, but it's at least 1 month of your expected spending, but ideally between 3 and 6 months. Okay, here's the next one. So does a closed credit card hurt your credit score? So if you cancel a credit card and close the account, does that hurt your score?
I believe it does.
I feel like it would, but I don't understand, like, why necessarily. I feel like closing it would definitely do something, but I don't know why. I feel like there should be a fair way to close a credit card without it,
Negatively
hindering your
impacting. Yeah, so
yeah.
again, your credit score, it's a complicated formula. But one of the factors that goes into your credit score is the credit length. So the longer that you have credit with somebody, the higher, all else equal, the higher your credit score. So if you close an account that you've had for a really long time, then it's going to shorten your overall credit history, and that will have a negative impact. If you close an account that you've only had for like 2 months, maybe it's not gonna be nearly as traumatic. But if you're closing a card that you've used for a really long time, you're basically turning off, your credit history with that particular vendor, and so that would have a negative impact. So you wanna keep it open if you've had it for a long time. And if there's no annual fee, what's the risk of at least keeping it open and just not using it? Okay, how about when do we ask for a credit limit increase? Right? So you get a credit card, they say that your credit limit is 1,000, at what point do we reach out to the credit card company and say, "Hey, I want to increase it to 2,000?"
Maybe when you get a raise at work? I don't know.
That's a very rational
Uh,
way of thinking about it.
the stock market is hitting and you sold some, so you made big bucks. I don't know.
I was just gonna say like I don't know, a year. I really have no answer for
6
this.
months, usually around 6 months. And you guys are like, "Wait a second, man, I didn't fucking sign up for this this pop quiz." Anyway, here's the last one. Here's the last one, and it's a hopefully if you guys get this wrong, I'm gonna start crying. Somebody told me that they like the podcast because stories are very relatable and they're very authentic. And so people like sad stories. And so I'm gonna tell you, if you get this wrong, I'm gonna start crying. Okay. So here's a question. End of the month, you have a credit card balance. Do you let it roll over to the next month or do you pay it off in full at the end of the month?
You paid off in full at the end of the month.
Pay it off in full.
Very good. Nice.
Oh gosh, I thought it was like a trick question, and then you were gonna start crying.
No. Yeah, nobody wants to see me cry on camera. It's a
Yep.
fucking it's terrible. Okay, so I want to say that that's pretty much all I have in my notes. Actually, you know what? I did have a 1 week challenge that maybe seems like a good place to end. Maybe I'll go through this 1 week challenge and then we can sort of figure out a way to say goodbye. Okay, so here's a 1 week challenge. Definitely, if you have a credit card, turn on auto pay, right? So you guys were both saying that might be something that we worry about. So you want to turn on auto pay, which means your bank will just make sure that they pay the credit card when it's due in case you accidentally forget the due date. So that's definitely one. Second one is cancel at least 2 subscriptions you're not using. So this is something that we want to try to do this week, right? This is a 7-day challenge. Automatic pay and then cancel 2 subscriptions. Move towards creating at least a $250 emergency savings account, with the goal being 3 to 6 months of your spending. And then maybe for like the individuals who are using their credit card, identify the closing date of your credit card. So when the statement comes in, identify your closing date and then set up automatic pay just prior to your closing date. Right? That's a good challenge. All right. Well, then, actually, you know what? In my notes, I have nobody's going to fucking do this though, unless I give them extra credit. But the last one is like, could you subscribe to the channel and comment on this episode? And nobody fucking does that unless I extend them extra credit. In fact, I have a really, really good friend of mine. He's like, dude, you have a lot of people commenting on your podcast. That's awesome. And I was like, man, should I tell him that I give students extra?
The extra
And I was
credit.
like,
No. Just keep it in the
yeah, keep it
unknown.
in the end. I told him, I'm like, yeah, dude. He's like, but still, it's kind of cool, man. I was like, yeah,
It'll encourage non-students to comment because they see like the general people
they're like,
are
fuck. I
commenting.
feel
So
like somebody
yeah,
left a comment. I don't know who it is, but the comment was, hey, at least your podcast is better than mine. And I was like, what does that
you
even
know,
mean? Is that like a backhanded compliment or what?
He just brought both of you guys
Yeah,
down.
exactly. Fucker. I'm gonna delete that comment. Anyway, I feel like we're at the end unless you guys have anything you wanted to add to the conversation or question or comment.
I think all my questions got answered.
yeah. And I was just gonna say it's very reassuring that you brought up the automated payment thing where like your bank can just pay it your a credit card off for you every month in case you forget. That like was very reassuring to me because that was like my biggest worry with opening a credit card and forgetting to pay. But yeah.
my son and I bought him a car like last summer and we put the loan in his name, like both of our names. So that's the way that we're establishing credit for him. And so when the bill comes in, I just hand him the statement and I'm like, okay, dude, make the make the payment. And he forgot to make the payment this last month. And so I got an email from the lender and they were like, hey, we get it. Stuff comes up. Man, I got so fucking pissed. And so I was like, here's the deal, dude. You just fucking set it up now, automatic payment.
Yeah.
And then a good
Yeah.
habit to get into is at the end of every month, like on like the last day of the month, I always go onto my bank account and I look at all of the people that are or companies that I pay every month and I make sure I see a payment that's been made in the month, right? So we're in November. When I get to the end of November, I'm just going to go through like Comcast, my mortgage lender, the car loans, utility, everything, and just make sure I made a payment in November. So that's the way that I.
Yeah. So did that hurt your credit as
So
well
I
because
was
it's
like
under both
laying
of your
into him. I'm like, dude, fuck, this is bullshit. You know, like my whole thing is like, we're doing this to
Yeah.
establish your credit, and I have a podcast,
Yeah.
and we fucked it up. And so, like, when I got home, he was like, well, Dad, technically, it only hurts your credit if you're over 30 days late. And that is actually true. So, like,
Oh, okay.
the
So
the company will not report anything that is between 0 and 30 days late. But that doesn't mean that it gives you an opportunity to pay
to
late
pay it late.
because,
Yeah.
again, if it's a credit card company, they will hit you with late fees. And so
Yeah. So it's like you're still gonna yeah.
technically, it's not gonna hurt your credit score, but, like, man, if you pay 1 day late, you have to pay an extra $25 in addition to your full balance, so, like, you can pay past the due date, but so, yeah, anyway, I appreciate the 2 of you coming on. Like I said, the 2 of you are 2 of my favorite students on campus for totally different reasons, and so I appreciate you guys coming in, and Zion, I can't say that I'm not gonna continue to pick on you when I come into Trader Joe's. Again, that is like
Didn't expect it.
that is like a weekly something that I look forward to every week. But anyway, I appreciate you guys. It was a blast. Hopefully you got something out of it, and hopefully listeners do get something out of it. And, yeah, I will call it a day.